Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Nurit and I'm speaking with you today from Budapest, Hungary. My guests today are going to be Pierre Richard from Montreal, Quebec, and Gabor Harsani from Budapest, Hungary. And Pierre Richard is going to be speaking with Gabor about Gabor's new book, Functional Silence, Demystifying Awakening for the Spiritually Exhausted. So here are Gabor and Pierre Richard. Enjoy.
I've been doing this, interested in spirituality for a number of years now. Not as long as you and Nurit, not by any chance, maybe 3-4 years, let's say. I'm at that level, kind of, still a beginner. But what I'm trying to get to is that I've read a lot of spiritual books. I've seen a lot of great spiritual books, great things on YouTube, a lot of satsangs, a lot of great teachers like yourself. I've been in contact with you and Nurit over the last couple of years. Very good, all very, not only informative but very inspiring, which is really important. I mean, the information is important, but to be inspired too is for me the most important thing. But still, even after those years, you say the awakening or whatever that is not, I don't feel that I have entered this realm yet. Or actually, what I can say is maybe it's a gradual process, because I know I've been going through a lot of changes, internal changes, and that I have more access now, slowly, to my natural state. So maybe you can talk a bit about this, the spiritually exhausted, but also some of us, or you hear about teachers or people talking about an awakened state, and you think, oh wow, it's a big aha experience, and maybe there's fireworks that go off or something, and it's a very specific experience. But I've also read that some people come to it gradually, that it's not necessarily a one time or one moment experience. So could you expound on that a bit, please?
Well, I'm laughing because you always ask great questions, but they are very deep. So anyway, it's wonderful. It's one of those weird subjects that you cannot reach, weird goals that you cannot reach in time.
Yeah.
We're used to it, that we start something and in time we get somewhere. So the common belief is that somehow we enter the world of spirituality, we learn more and more and more, we fine-tune more and more and more, and eventually we get awakened. Now, it is my experience that awakening is such that you can only reach the goal, the target, right now at this moment. Cannot reach it in time.
Right.
So we basically, the book is about how to jump out of this reality, how to leap out and instantly be there. So the exercises that my students are practicing is how to almost instantly be in the now. So we gotta get used to that the target is reached now. However, the integration will take time.
Yes, okay.
If you reach your goal now and the integration takes time, that will actually get you there. If you think that you're gonna reach, if someone thinks that they're gonna reach the target in time, they're gonna be better and better qualified or better and better practiced, and then reach it, that won't work. So I don't know if I'm expressing it clearly. Yes, it will take time, but the integration will take time. The goal, the target is now.
Okay. Yes. And yes, you talk about that a lot in your book, and I think one of your main exercises is feeling the inner body, right? Having access to the inner body, right?
Right.
Right. So if I understand correctly, you do this well, you talk about it, accessing the inner body as many times during the day as possible, and just keep on doing it. And what you're saying is over time that it will become a more transformative experience, or you mature into that being in that way. I don't know if I'm expressing it properly. That's
yeah. It's don't worry, because it's a subject that doesn't have proper vocabulary.
yeah.
So we're talking about something that is not expressible in words. So because we are such a good buddies, we just keep making mistakes until hopefully there is some clarity.
Yeah, we're expert at making mistakes. Yes.
The feeling of the inner body, let's call it now, to pay attention to this direction, to feel of the inner body, enables us to reach our target now.
Right.
And that will not take time. Just to learn the technology of going in the body properly, that might take time. So somebody might argue, yeah, it takes time. But it's what it is not. It is not something where you start feeling your inner body and then you practice, and eventually when you learn to feel the body more and more and more, then you get there. It's not like that.
So what is it then? The $1 million question.
Okay. We gotta get that we focus our attention within now, and to whatever extent I can feel the inner body, I reached my target. It's not gonna get better, because in this moment I reached my target. I feel the inner body, let's say this much. It's hypothetical, of course. So I did reach my target. Now, the integration of it, meaning integrate it into my life, will take time. And as I'm integrated into life, the depth of the now will get better automatically. But it is not the practice of feeling the body, practice more and more and more and more and more and more and more, and then actually I feel it better. And I don't know if this will come across clearly or not. Do you kind of understand?
A bit. Well, as you're saying that, I'm going into my inner body. I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
And there is incredible calm. I feel.
Yeah.
It gets me out of my head, which is great. I mean, that's the idea, right?
You have a great head, so it's okay. For a saxophonist.
Exactly that. But yeah, sometimes it's too full of nonsense, you know.
Right.
Like everybody has to deal with. And I have been, you know, I must admit, you know, reading your book, and I've been doing that more and more often. And like you say, I'm a saxophonist. I'm a professional musician. So in the last week, I'll give you an example. I had 6 gigs. So
cool.
It's a lot. So very tiring, very long nights. A lot of playing in big venues, hundreds of people. A lot of noise, different people, you know, all sorts of different people. So you get this different energy just thrown at you, you know, constantly for hours and hours every night. So yes. A few nights not too bad. The more as time goes on, I get a bit more tired, say. Mm-hmm. You know, like even the last couple of nights, I was very tired. So, and then I was thinking about your book and what you're saying about feeling the inner body. So when I'm actually playing, that's not a problem, because I'm extremely focused playing my instrument. I have to be 100%, 110%. I have to be really. That's not a problem. When I stop playing, which is often, because the band keeps on playing, I'm not playing all the time, and then I just have to kind of be there on stage and still be there in front of like 300 people. So what do? So what I started to do the last few nights, especially, because I was very, very tired, I went into my inner body I felt it really, really strong. I took some deep breaths to activate that area. And I talk about right around the heart area, the heart and abdomen area. So that for me is a very lively area, and I really felt into it. And it's very sensual when you really feel into it. It feels good.
Yes.
And especially deep breathing. If I do some deep breathing, and at the same time, instead of looking at one person in the audience or another person, I just took it all in a peripheral vision kind of thing, not looking too much at the audience, but kind of like in a kind of a haze kind of. And I think you talk about this. I think that's what you talk about as reproportioning your attention. Would that be right?
Yeah, I mean, the reproportioning of the attention is a very simple thing. Normally, all our attention goes that way, out, and all we want to do is allocate some of the attention going this way. And that starts the magic already. We don't have to engineer it or understand it or anything. By simply reproportioning it, the magic starts by itself.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's fantastic. I was really feeling it, and I was like, again, I was tired, so there's a bit of, I had to do something in order to stay present. So I did that, and it's wonderful.
Yes.
Very, very good. Very efficient. Of course, and we've talked about this before, I guess, in other other discussions we've had, is how to how to do this more in every day. I hesitate to use the word permanent way, but bring this more and more into our daily life.
The bringing this into our everyday life is so crucial that without it, no matter how much you look inside, it won't work. How is that? You can practice looking inside and looking at the body as a separate matter. Let's say I say, okay, let's practice together from 10 to 11 every day.
Yes, yes.
And if we don't bring it out to our everyday life, but for real, it will not work and the door will not open.
Right.
It's almost like in order for the door to open, we have to have this inner angularity, like opening the door in an angle. And if I have an outer situation, I'm opening God's door onto this situation, which is a particular angle. And then there is another situation, and I'm opening the door to that situation. So all these angles add up, all these angular inner lookings add up to make it permanent.
Yes.
That's a little bit different than how we talked before, but is it, did I explain it clearly?
Yes, yes, I get it. It's just, it's a matter of actually doing it. I think.
Yeah.
That is the,
yeah. How we actually do it is a lot simpler than we think. First of all, we have to accept ourselves that it is our birthright. And yeah, we mentioned this before 1,000 times, but yeah, it's your birthright. Why is it crucial to accept that? It's because if it's your birthright, you don't have to deserve it. You don't have to clean up for it. You don't have to wear special clothing. You don't have to cut your hair or, whatever. You don't have to do anything. Now, that has to be the start. I deserve it. I'm God's child. I deserve it because I exist. So that brings it down to this amazing simplicity that we need. And so let's say I want to do it, I want to integrate it into my life. So I reproportion my attention, I'm focusing within, even a little bit, and I feel that my mind doesn't run as much. It kind of slows down or stops, right? And I accept it because it's that simple, and I'm God's child, so why not? So then I start working with what I need to work with. So let's say a person is in front of me, I have to talk to the person, or I have to operate a machinery or ride a bicycle, whatever I need to do. And basically, all I have to do is do my best as far as reproportion and talk, reproportion and talk. Just do your best to talk, and occasionally just touch. Occasionally just pay some attention in this direction. And that's already, on some level, it's already integrating. Now, let's say I must have a conversation with somebody. I'm having the conversation, and occasionally I'll go touch. By what I mean by touch is I feel, right? I reproportion, I feel some part of my body. So I take a little bit of this conversation, out of this conversation, and say, touch, touch, touch. Even a small effort will yield great results, but I'm doing it while I'm having a conversation.
Yes. I was going to ask you that's great. You know, where do you feel it? Can you just explain that a bit more, please?
Yeah. Well, I will explain it, but the preamble to my explanation is that it cannot be explained. We always get into that anyway, you and me. So
yeah, you have to feel it. It's got
the feeling, awakening is a feeling derivative, meaning that it's not visual, it's not going to be auditory, although the auditory will help a lot. It's a feeling derivative, meaning that we're shifting feelings, shifting directions of feelings within the body. And shifting feelings within the body basically get us there, and practically any part of the body will be fine. For example, if I'm talking to you and I'm just simply aware of my hand, that's already good enough. Let's say I'm not feeling my hand and talking whatever I'm saying, and then occasionally, okay, I feel my hand. Then I'm back to the conversation and feel my hand. Now I'm talking about very, very basic beginning stuff.
Sure.
Eventually, the inner feeling will settle in. Meaning that you'll be able to feel it much longer period or permanently. It's the feeling of this God's grace. The feeling is, ooh, it's nice to be alive. Ooh, it's nice to be alive. Now let's talk. Ooh, it's nice to be alive. Now let me do my work. Ooh, it's nice to be alive. Let me do my bicycle. It's even a minimal effort of focusing within while I'm doing my life does amazing results. If you and me took a retreat in a mountain and we would be doing it all day without interruption, it would not be as good of a result as applying it to my everyday life in an everyday situation.
Wouldn't it be a good preparation note in order to, because I'm glad you say that, because okay, I'm going to give you an example. While I'm talking with you, it's very simple. I feel my inner body. You're a very present person. I become present just because it's a transmission. So it's easy when I'm talking to somebody like yourself. When I'm talking to somebody who's completely in the mind and it's going all over the place, it's like, whoa. It's much more difficult. So even, you know, and then I have to remind myself, okay, feel your inner body. For me, it's around my heart area. That's, and then even while I'm talking with you now, I'm feeling it in my heart, and it's going all the way down into the soles of my feet.
Yeah.
So again, with you, it's relatively easy.
Yeah.
When I'm out there with, you know, in real society, whether you're at the grocery store or whether your car or wherever, and the car, it's not so bad. I'm by myself. Let's say when you're around a lot of people and you're getting all these energies.
Yes.
Those energies thrown at you. It's not, for me, it's not as accessible. That's where the challenge is for me.
Yeah.
And it would seem that, you know, being off in a retreat for a month or so, or for at least a few weeks, would be a good training ground in order how to do that. And then from there, take it and go into your daily life. Because as you say, that's where it has to be practiced, is in daily, and not only in meditation or
yeah. What seemed to be so weird about this awakening business, amongst other things, is that yes, we can do a retreat and practice in a quiet place and stuff like that. And let's say we can even reproportion and stay there and feel this love of God for a whole week, right? And we could say, oh my God, we got it. Life is wonderful. This is great. Okay? And it has a lot of value. Now we go home and it takes about 3 days, it disappears.
right.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying now is that a 5-second practical application of feeling the body while I'm talking to somebody worth more towards making this feeling permanent than the whole month of a retreat. I'm not saying the month of retreat doesn't have value. I'm saying to make this feeling permanent, what makes it permanent is the everyday use. The non-everyday use has huge advantages and huge disadvantages.
Yes.
Huge advantages, wow, it's like saying, my God, this exists. I'm feeling my body. I'm feeling my body with my body Pierre. Okay. And this is fantastic. God exists and life is good. So it's a fantastic advantage to really say, okay, this life is good. All I have to do is do this, pay attention this way.
Yes.
That's the advantage. What's the disadvantage? The disadvantage that I took a whole month of time to do this. So my mind, my contrast mind would say, okay, Pierre, you gotta go back there. That mountaintop, that place, that institution, you gotta go back there because that's where it is. No, but it's in my body. No, you can try, it doesn't work as well. It works really well there.
Yeah.
It's good to be very clear as to what is what. A silent retreat, nature, we can get to know, okay, I got it. I got it that the trees are my friends, my brothers. The sun and the moon are my brother and sister.
Well, that's a good start. That's a good start.
Life is good, it's fantastic. Now, I want to retain this feeling forever. And by feeling, I mean a different platform of reality. It's not just a feeling, we feel the different platform of reality. Right? Okay, so to get to know that it exists is fantastic. But to retain it in any way, I must have a different kinds of practice. For instance, going into we could go into a busy market, you and me, here in Budapest, you know, people are running around and say, okay, let's just pay some attention here and start walking. And all of a sudden, okay, inner silence, outer total chaos outside. People are running and arguing and God knows what they're doing. Paying and whatever they do, and they're coming and pushing and shoving.
Yeah.
But they're not pushing you.
Right.
Oh, okay. So to practice it as a separate event in the mountains, it's got a huge disadvantage attached to it, which is now it's separate. To practice it in a busy market, it's got a huge advantage. Yes. that I'm practicing in life, not as a separate event, but as a context. If it's a separate event in the mountain, it becomes content. Okay, I'm playing the saxophone, I'm making breakfast, I'm riding the bicycle, I'm picking kids up school, and I'm going to the mountain retreat. It becomes a content for the mind.
Right.
Awakening is a context. You might have read it in the book, if you remember, contextual shift.
Yes, yes, yes.
We had a visual representation of the fruit bowl,
Yes, yes.
bowl full of
The
fruit.
illustration.
And doesn't matter what I do with the fruit, it's the ball that we're interested in, shifting the ball. So awakening is being able to shift the context, change the ball at will, while the fruit may or may not stay the same.
Right.
So it's essential to practice it as a context, not as a separate event, but as a context. And by us using it in the busy market, or while you're doing what you're doing, it becomes a context. Because I'm doing this and I'm paying attention this way at the same time. Yes, I'm playing my saxophone, and I want to do that from the perspective of this new platform that I have discovered that has always been within me anyway. So
yeah,
we're talking about the subject that we cannot talk about. So this separate practice, we must know, has a disadvantage. It doesn't mean don't do it. It doesn't mean that has certain advantages, big learnings. But most of the people I know who have been going to retreats for 10, 20 years, they still go to retreats. And subconsciously they know, okay, I'm gonna go to the next retreat. While the practice is, in this moment right now, I'm opening the door because somebody rang the bell and I'm here now. I'm adding the context to that event. I'm adding the context to opening the door. I'm adding the context to sweeping the floor. It's a contextual awareness. It's a contextual shift. And the contextual shift cannot happen unless you shift the context underneath the content. Context. There's a fruit bowl. I'm taking the fruit bowl and putting a whole room underneath the fruit bowl, a whole football field. So the job of awakening is shifting the context. Therefore, we cannot make the practice into a content as a separate event. Very hard, unfortunately, for most people to understand.
It is. Yeah.
It's hard to understand, but it's possible.
Yes, and you mentioned in the book too. You talk about meditation, and you don't necessarily, recommend that people meditate for the same reason, because it's in time, and you do your, say, half-hour meditation during the morning or whatever. The rest of the day you kind of forget about it. So it's accessing this state of consciousness that you reach during meditation, or with it, whether it's going within the body or something. There's going to be a shift.
Yeah.
Consciousness. And it's doing this in the present moment. I understand that the now for sure.
Yes.
All I'm saying is that's where the challenge is.
I know. We talked before about this, remember?
Yes,
and I said, do not meditate.
Yes, I know. I remember you said that. Don't meditate. And you mentioned that in the book too. Yes, and so I wasn't surprised when I read it in the book.
Yeah.
I wasn't surprised because, and I can understand that if you just do your meditation and then forget about it, and you're somebody, if you see it as different, as not a part of yourself, then it's not very.
It's
so you have to bring it into your daily life.
Yes.
So
I imagine the conventional thinking is that I practice meditation, then I bring it into my life. But you can't. It's a separate. It was and is and will be a separate event.
Mm-hmm. But isn't the idea to be meditating while you're in life? Like, meditate, we can call it many things. I mean, you can say, you know, accessing, going, feeding the body within. That's a kind of a meditation, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
Kind of.
you could have a meditation whereby the meditation is follow your breath, feel body parts, right? And the mind would say, "Oh, look, it's the same thing." And from the from the conventional mind's perspective, it looks like the same thing. You see,
Right.
you feel body part. I feel the body part. I do a meditation, and I feel the body, and I feel good. And you're doing exactly the same thing. Somebody told me, "Look inside when you meditate, feel the body," and you're telling me the same thing. So what's the difference? Let's say our conventional realities on this plateau. This is past, this is the future, right? And duality is right here. And the conventional wisdom would say, okay, meditate more, better. Feel the body more, better. Clear your chakras, better.
Right.
Eat better food, better. So we're hypothetically proceeding in this direction, or in this direction, we have a vector that proceeds, and you're hoping that on the end of this, there is something called awakening. And this thing is usually very mysterious. It's not for normal people, it's for those people, you know, etc., etc. So
right.
we can never get to awakening. We can't get there in time. No matter what we do, no matter how we feel the body, no matter how similar the meditation is, we cannot get there. We can only jump there. We can jump into it at any time. Here is the time level. I can jump anytime. I don't need any understanding. I don't need any pre-qualification. I don't need any meditation practice. I don't need anything. I can only leap out of this reality at this moment. So what we're practicing is leaping out of this conventional reality into the other one. And that leaping out includes feeling the body. Leaping out includes feeling the body. It's not a meditation practice based upon feeling the body. Ooh, I'm glad that I'm talking to you.
Me too.
Yeah, it's a lot simpler. It's a lot simpler than it is. A meditation practice of feeling the body, closing your eyes and following your breath and all that, it has value. But what happens is it remains in the mind, and the mind will create a template called meditation, which you can access, but is meditation, and perhaps your meditations even get better and better and better. Right. So you say, aha, I'm making progress. My meditations get better. Right? I feel the body more and more. It lasts longer, etc., etc. But then, what has not been addressed is the leap. What has not been addressed is the discontinuity of time. This time has to be discontinued rapidly, quickly. There is a meditation practice, and all the practice is a continuation of practices. Continuation of practices, dissolving, continuation of learning. Awakening has nothing to do with that. Awakening is total discontinuation of this moment.
Right, so it's a shock.
It's a shock. It's a mini shock that we give ourselves to shock us into this other reality. Then having the technology, after we learn how to leap out, and having the technology to how to stay there.
Right. Okay.
And you can stay there now. So it wasn't a time event. It was a leaping out of time event.
Okay, we're getting onto something. Okay.
Yeah, I know it. I'm enjoying you understanding it.
Okay, and I like the idea, like the shock you just said,
Yes.
and so how is that different from? And I've heard this before. Is that the mind has to be totally what's the right word? It's got to be put in the background. Let's say the mind just to not give it not to give it its full. You know, it's always in command. So take away the command from the mind, from the overly obsessive activated mind. Okay.
Right.
So I like the idea of a shock, right? So in practical terms, let's say you're talking about going with, you know, in the body with, okay, when I do that, I feel very present.
Right.
Present is great, it's beautiful. And presence, and I'm just feeling it. And when I listen to you, I get very quiet inside and very present, like I said. So what is the difference between that and the shock that you're talking about? Mm-hmm. In order, is it something that is it beyond that, or is it just being present? Is that not enough?
Yeah. First of all, I think that we're facing many problems at the same time. Timed events and the accumulation of events and the accumulation of stuff. And the other problem we're facing is that we only have duality language at our disposal.
Yes.
So when we talk about, let's say, the soul or being present and all that and that and that, it's not that way at all. There is no, the words don't express at all what we're talking about. So we're facing those two basic problems. See what I'm saying? So when we say presence, we're probably assuming that we're present and the mind is not running, which is correct.
Yeah.
When the mind is not running, there is no past and future, and we call that the now. And the way we get to the now is by reproportioning our attention and feeling our body.
Yes, that's a big help. It's feeling the body.
And feel your body. So how do we get to presence is by feeling the body. How that works, there is a whole explanation to that, things like that.
Okay.
So
I feel it.
Feel the body, you get to the present. And you can only get to the present moment in this present moment. The present moment cannot be the continuation of the previous moment that at that time you said it was the present moment.
Right.
So it's a real fresh present moment.
Absolutely.
And the real fresh present moment. And the real fresh present moment.
Yes.
So if we add any kind of continuity, it destroys the whole moment-to-momentness. So feeling this is wonderful, right? So go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so is the idea, obviously the idea is always to stay present, you know, and like I said, I can be present in certain, well, put it this way, in certain situations it's much easier than others, obviously.
Yeah.
Like when I'm talking with you, I'm very present. Exactly. How do you get that to be a more of, like you mentioned before, and you mentioned it in your book too, the default, your default. How do you make it into your default? And that I imagine is what awakening is, right?
Yeah.
That becomes your default. The present.
Yeah. An awakened person, that's the default, that's the platform.
Yeah.
An awakened person is able to be comfortable in contrast reality. We don't lose that ability to make distinctions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Comfortable and equally comfortable in this so-called other reality.
Sure.
That is not contrast reality, it's a unifying reality.
Right.
It's the values are very different. It's such a whole different world, and yet we're trying to talk about it using contrast reality words, which is fine. So let's say we agree what the present moment is. Okay, it's this moment, and it's this moment, and this moment. And then the next question comes, so how do you make that practical, and how do you make that continuous and always available, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Now, It's like the mind says, but you schmuck, you can't just go around saying this moment, it's this moment, it's this moment.
That's the $1 million question. How do you make it permanent?
Okay. Now we have to eliminate at that time when we go on that particular moment in your learning, we have to eliminate the expression called present moment. As we go on, we transcending our own expressions. We allow the explanation called present moment. But once we get it, we have to get rid of it because now it holds us back. Because it's got nothing to do with time. The present moment implies it's a time-based expression. The only reason the now exists is because the past and the future exist, right? Let's take away the past and the future. And where is the now then? So the now exists because the past and the future exist.
Yeah.
Right? So we take away the past is a memory. The future is perhaps another memory. It's a chip.
It's a projection.
It's projected. So if you take away the past, we get the future. There is no now. So we allowed the expression called now or present moment until we get to this stage. And now we have to shift it, knowing that it's a time-based expression. We're no longer using it. We're shifting quickly out of this reality. We no longer use that vocabulary. So once the vocabulary shifts, then the attention shifts. We no longer use time-based expressions.
Yeah.
It's not like now, it's now, it's now. It appears to be in the now. So if you're a spiritual master or whatever we call it, horrible name, spiritual master. If you have if you have activated the body as a transformational tool, okay, let's call it that way.
Right.
Sounds
exactly.
more.
You explained it in your book, yes.
Sounds more non-mysterious, right?
Yes.
Mystery totally destroys this whole thing.
Yes.
One of the reasons it's so difficult, this whole damn subject, is because we believe all these mysteries.
Right. And you talk a lot about that in your book, which is great. And you keep on, you keep on stressing this point that it's not a mystery and it's very accessible. It's our birthright and very accessible.
It's birthright. That's right. It's accessible.
Yeah.
So instead of saying, oh, it's now, you're saying, okay, I am settled into my body, and eventually your attention can settle into it. And I can actually feel unity with everything. When I feel unity with everything, unity is not in comparison to something else. There is no such a thing as this unity in comparison to another unity.
Right.
In our normal reality, we have tall because somebody else is short.
Yes, we have comparison. Yeah, there's the dual.
Once you're in the unity, there is no. We are not in the same kind of time, not in the same basis of time. So I'm in there, and there is no such thing as now. Now, if I am accessing this unified reality, which can be accessed by activating my body in a particular way. If I do that, if I'm accessing this unified reality, it looks like I'm in the now. So somebody would look at me from another room, or look at the Dalai Lama or somebody, whoever, right? You say, or look at you, you're in the present moment, say, oh, look at Pierre is in the now. In your reality, in that room, over to the other room, oh my God, Pierre is in the now. The only reason I'm saying Pierre is in the now because I'm not in that reality. I'm in the duality reality.
Yes.
And I learned the expression now. But it's not true. Your being is not in the now. It looks like in the now from the perspective of contrast reality. See what I'm saying?
Well, we're playing a lot with semantics here. It's
it's semantics, but you see, this reality, every hairline worth of shift makes a major difference.
Yes, I understand that.
And we're talking inner work. We're talking inner work of super subtleties, very
Yes,
subtle things.
absolutely.
A minimal movement in consciousness makes a major difference.
Yes,
Big,
yes.
big is small, small is big. Make up whatever stuff you want. And I'm so happy that you're asking the questions, because we're such a good buddies and friends.
Yeah.
If it was someone else on the other line, somebody who is really entrenched in 40 years of meditation, okay, he would be showing me the fingers or something. It seems very complex when I'm explaining it, but it's a lot simpler. The only reason it's complex because there is a world on this side and there is a world on that side, and the two has nothing to do with one another.
Okay, I'm glad you're now I think we're getting this is very good. We're getting very deep, I think. And again, I'm gonna say again what I'm interested, because I've been doing this practice, feeding the inner body for a while now. I think I could access it rather well. And what I'm interested in now is that shift you were talking about, is like the jump like this, the thing that will maybe stop the mind completely and make that radical shift.
Yes.
Where you see everything from a new perspective. Isn't that what awakening is about, really?
Yes, it's an instant angular shift.
Yes.
Angular shift. So what needs to be practiced is not the meditation. What needs to be practiced is this angular shift.
Okay.
Part of the angular shift is feeling body parts.
Yes.
That does not mean that you can practice body parts feeling and get better at it, because without the angularity, it doesn't mean anything.
Okay, so how do we get the angularity then? I'm glad we're talking. This is great. This is great. Okay, because I've been doing this, accessing this inner body and everything, and it feels wonderful. It feels really wonderful. I can feel. I access present. It's presence. It's a very like I was mentioning before. It's a sensual feeling.
Yes, it's essential. Exactly.
Yes.
Someone said it feels like you're in love with everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's absolutely.
It is beautiful, and it quiets down the mind. The mind is no longer king in this realm.
Exactly.
So how do you? I'm interested now in those angular shifts.
It's the angular shift is not the angular shift is not a continuation. It's a something where I use mini shock on myself when the universe or God wants to teach us a lesson, a really big one. We have some kind of a tragedy, right? Bang.
Right.
We are instantly going into the present moment because the mind is searching for a template. It can't find it, so it defaults into being.
Right.
So, but we don't want to wait for consistent tragedies to be in the present moment.
No, we don't want to go through a 12-year depression or something like that.
No, I did that, and
yes, that's why I said it. Yeah.
Not pleasant.
No, not at all.
Not pleasant. That's what I needed.
Yeah.
Since to this tape, you don't need it. Just because I had to do that, you don't have. That doesn't mean that you have to. So.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that.
Absolutely not needed. So that's what God does. Bang, you default into being, and that's the present moment. I have a cousin. Her father died. She's very religious, and she told me that it was such a shock. She said she felt almost embarrassed because after the shock she felt so good. Wow. Such a wonderful feeling, and her father died. Ooh.
Wow. Oh.
See, the shock put her into a default to the being. She said she has never ever felt so good. She said it's almost embarrassing. She told me, but she's not advertising it.
she felt guilty for not.
Felt guilty for feeling so good.
Her father just died. Yeah.
I mean, we can also rationalize saying her father didn't go to a bad place. Maybe it's a better place than this one, so rejoice. We can say it that way. But for her, it was a shock, default into being, ooh, feel good.
So, okay, that's a good question. So there, do you think she had an awakening? Would you call that an awakening?
She had an experience of being, which many people have many times.
Sure.
Artists experience it, musicians experience it.
Absolutely.
People who are extremely good in sports, athletic, experience it.
Yeah.
People experiencing it when you get so tired, the mind can no longer put it in a template, and it just goes, okay, being.
Yes.
Defaulting into being a long distance runner stops. Oh my God, the body and the mind is so tired. It just goes, ooh, okay, I'm being. So that's the being, that's home.
Yes, I know exactly. That happened to me once. I was playing. I was with a band on tour in Switzerland. I got very sick, and I was doing a month long of performances, and I had to be there every night. We're doing performances. I'm on tour. I'm in another country. I got very sick, and one morning I woke up and I said, I don't think I can make it tonight. I don't think I can physically. I had a hard time getting out of bed.
Yeah.
The day went on like this, very slowly, and I got better. I felt better towards the evening, and I actually made it to the venue where I was playing at the concert, and I just kind of surrendered, and I had one of the most incredible performances of my whole life. It was beautiful. I just let go. And it was so inspiring, creative. It was wonderful because the mind just wasn't there anymore. The body, I had just enough energy to play my instrument, and that was about it.
That was it. And you played amazingly well.
Obviously. I did.
Now the universe participated with you.
Yes.
Because the mind is no longer blocking it. Yes, you have your skill, but let God participate. Why not?
Yeah. Again, I'm asking you to.
Oh, you're getting it. That's great.
Yeah, but now on a practical level, how do we, as pertaining to awakening,
right?
How can we work with that to be shocked out of our or into our being, like you said?
So let's take a look at what God does. The universe does. The universe shocks us. We get into a present moment, or we get into a being. Okay. So we're not waiting for it. However, what we can do is match the physiology of a shock. So we don't have to wait for a shock. We have the right to match, to go into the physiology of the shock.
How do you do that?
There are techniques to do that.
Okay.
My techniques are called interruption and bypass. That's the interruption and bypass exercise.
Right.
Different exercises with different people. Usually they have to be absolutely custom made because everyone is so different. But the first thing I do is interrupt the interrupter. My mind wants to have a consistent mind stream and want to talk to me, so I interrupt it. My favorite interruption exercise I call the dolphin.
Yes, I remember.
It looks weird, but
you talk about that in the book. Yes.
Yeah. So this is an interruption. It looks crazy, but it includes breathing. It includes focus. It includes laughing. It includes hand. It's a kind of a complex looking exercise, but once learned, it's extremely good. The mind has no idea what to do with it, so it stops.
Right.
So we're not yet there. We just interrupted. We need the interruption so the mind would be gracious enough to give me a little bit of a break to enter the body. If the mind is always running, it's difficult to enter the body.
Yeah.
The mind is running. I can't enter. How do I focus? But I need a shock, so I create my own shock.
And you're right that laughter is a great shock to do this. I mean, that's why people feel so elated after, while laughing. And,
right. So laughing is a part of interruption, but not always. For some people, something else works. Bottom line is we interrupt. We gain a little bit of gap, a little bit of time when the mind is not running. It's like God's gift for 20 seconds. Okay. And then we have to reproportion our attention. Ooh, and now it's easier.
Right.
Now it's easier because my mind gave me 20 seconds and it's not blocking the entry. So it's called interruption bypass. The interruption is a mini shock, and the bypass is really feeling the inner body. Now that means you have effectively bypassed your mind, the contrast mind mechanism entirely.
Yes.
You didn't stop it, you didn't manipulate it, you didn't argue with it. Not at all, you bypassed it. Now it has not much power. If you go deep enough, you can hardly talk. But bypass, shock, bypass. That's how we imitate what God does without the tragedy. We create our own interruption, our own discipline, and we enter the body and stay. And once you stay successfully, it looks like you're in the present moment. It's not true. You're just being. You're not in the present moment. It looks like you're allowing. You're not allowing, you're just being. It looks like you have unconditional love in your heart. No, you're just being.
Just being, well, that's, semantics again. And
it's crucial to know that it looks one way, but it's actually another way.
Yeah. And this is great, Gabor, because the more, and this happens every time we talk, the more I talk with you, the more that I'm listening to you more than that, but I just sink more and more into my being. I just sink like that.
Yeah.
I can feel it. I can really, really feel it. Yeah. And it's beautiful.
It's easy and it feels damn good.
It feels amazing. It's ecstatic. It's ecstatic.
However, it doesn't have a comparison. So the feeling in the mind is also feeling good, but it's a very different feeling good.
Yes.
This is permanent.
Right. Yeah.
The reason this is so easy is because the universe is supporting this. It's not a strange, mysterious thing for other people.
Yes, absolutely not. Yeah.
That's where it starts. So it works. It's simple. Anyone can have it. Have love in your heart. Future will be great.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you, Gabor.
You're most welcome. Take care. All the best to you.
Thank you. And good luck in your book. A great book. And
thank you.
Highly recommend it. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Gabor, again. And thank you, Pierre Richard. I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as we all have. And stay tuned for the next one. I believe next week we have another questioner coming up. And again, if you want to participate in the same way, please write to us and we'll be happy to include you. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you. Thank you, Nurit. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Gabor.
Bye, Pierre.